Wander, The Ultimate Hippie Trail Journey. It's a great read. I have a ball reading it, and I think you will too. And we think it's going to make a very fine week by week series, if you will. TV, movies, let's make it happen. Join us. Hi, this is Steve Reifman. I want to welcome you to our Moroccan special. During the Stevie Wander, now over 50 years ago, I spent about a month and a half in Morocco as part of the journey. And we think it was a special time, and we want to present it to you as the Moroccan special. Thanks. Something happens when you're on the road. I don't know where exactly I'm going at this point. I'm paled up with these guys, but I can get out. I can go any direction. I can go back. I can go anywhere I want to go. I've got no ties. I have no agenda. I don't know where the hell I'm going. But there's kind of a magnetism. All along as I'm coming along, there's this idea of Morocco, the mythic Morocco, Africa, the real changes. Alhambra has whet my appetite for this exotic, interesting culture that I really know nothing about. So the guys, the Swiss-German guys, they're on their way to Morocco. And what the hell? I don't know where else I'm going. We slept the night on a bluff overlooking a bay with the famed silhouette of the Rock of Gibraltar, a British possession across the bay. We felt as if we were at the end of the world, and in some true way, we were. The first town was called Tetuan, and we didn't really know quite what we were doing, but we were going to go from Gibraltar down, actually Algeciras next to it, down to Ceuta, and we wanted to get to the Medina of Tetuan, which is going to be our first real African Moroccan experience. I'm at the end of the world, and I'm facing Moroccan immigration to see if they're going to let me in the country. I heard all these stories, but I still don't believe it. My hair is this big. I come striding up there, and some guy in a uniform looks at me, goes, go back, cut, go back. I go, oh my God, I come all this way. I've only been with these guys for a little more than a week, but they're my buddies, and I don't want to be alone and go back there. They're getting in. I'm the victim. Well, I don't know what to do. We turn around. The two Swiss-German guys, they have these incredible Swiss Army packs. They're kind of cube-shaped, and they have fur on them, believe it or not. And Oliver reaches in, and he says, I've got scissors. Come on, cut here, Steve. We go by the beach. He's cutting. The curls are falling into my hand. I've got all these curls. We go back up to the immigration guy, the same uniform guy, looking at me like with a mustache. No. Good, not enough. Go back. What? I took so much off already. So behind me is Moroccan customs. If you're on your way into Morocco from Ceuta, this is where you go. And it's a raging, kind of a gray sea, and the picture behind me is similar. This is a modern day picture, but it was right by the sea. And now I got half my hair cut off, and the guy is cutting off more. Good old Oliver is out there with his scissors. And what rolls up but a bus of American straight tourists. I'm this hippie, and they are laughing and they're taking pictures. Oh, you're yelling and swearing at me, and you piece of dirty crap, get the hell out of here. I'm going, oh yeah, whatever. And I'm like in shock. I'm at the end of the earth. This hair that I was so invested in is gone. But somehow or another, we make it through, and we're on our way to Tetuan. So I finally got into Morocco, but I was quite a ways from the real first city, which I wanted to see, which is Tetuan. So somehow or another, me and the two Swiss German guys jumped on a bus, and we went on to Tetuan. And there the real adventure began. All the men are wearing jalabas. Those are the gowns. You see these floor length with a hood on that makes them look like they're a bunch of monks. We get into the bus, and I'm in this state of shock anyway from losing my hair, but all of a sudden, there's a whole different culture. I'm a stranger in a strange land. We make it into Tetuan, and we find ourselves descended upon by a horde of vulturous hustlers. We thought we were going to avoid this by entering through Sayuta and going to Tetuan, but we were wrong. There were so many hippy, hey, mister, do this. Everyone's leeching onto us, lurching onto us. Finally, one of them is getting through to us. Hey, I can help you, and I'm a friend, blah, blah, blah. We don't know where we're going. I'll take you to lunch, I'll take you to this. And meanwhile, some of these hustlers, they keep peeling off. Finally, it's just us and one guy. And here we are with our one guy, this Ali, and he's taking us about, and he takes us into an old building, and we go up into the second floor, and it's overlooking a courtyard. And there's all kinds of guys out there. These are people who are close, proximate to. They're talking to each other. They're grasping each other. They're hugging each other. They're very personable and close to each other. And we're looking out, and Ali brings out some hashish. Oh, well, I hadn't had some of that in a while. I certainly wasn't going to bring it into Morocco because Morocco was not a legal place for hashish, even though everybody all over is smoking this kind of marijuana product called keef in these pipes, long pipes. Well, we try this hashish and oh my God, it's phenomenal. And I'm looking out over all this activity and all this humanity intermingling, and all of a sudden, the Mazayan calls out from a tower, oh my God, my blood stood still. Everybody starts rushing. They're going off to the mosque. And I'm looking over this incredible mass of people going backwards and forwards and everywhere. And the world is just coming apart on me and together all at the same time. This very fascinating culture is unfolding before me, but I'm high as a kite. After escaping the adventure of our first real Moroccan city, a place no one has heard of called Tetuan, we made it on a bus overnight to Casablanca for a brief stayover, and then it was on to the Marrakesh Express because that was our real destination.
So one of the epic things about the travel is to take the iconic journeys to the iconic places. Marrakesh was where we wanted to be. And that was because just a year before that, I was at Woodstock and I got to see Crosby, Stills and Nash unveil the Marrakesh Express. All aboard that train, all aboard, choo-choo. And we got on that rickety old train and we traveled. It was about 4 hours, took a little longer than expected. And it was really a time of singing and joy because we were on our way to where we wanted to go. The pilgrimage was just about over, or so we thought. And there we were, all aboard that train.
And the destination Marrakesh was. Wow, this famous marketplace. It was just a fantastic, phantasmagorical situation, the lights, the colors. And of course, one of the amazing things about Morocco is, as I delved into it, I realized that we had come into Morocco during the Islamic month of Ramadan, which meant that nobody eats during the day. At least certainly not those who go by the faith of Islam. And we come in there and it takes a while to figure out where the hell you are. People are wearing robes and they got head scarves on and they've got hoods on and everything is all exotic. And you walk around and finally you start to figure out, oh my God, these people aren't eating all day long. And this goes on for a whole month. And the market literally explodes at night when those who are the faithful come out and say, oh, we're eating. And they stay up all night long. So there's this kind of a buzz going on, even in our hotel, which we wound up staying in. And it was very close to the market. You wanted to be near the fantastic market of Marrakesh. And there it is. So me and my Swiss German buddies, we stumble off the train, the Marrakesh Express, after singing Crosby, Stills and Nash's numbers in our head all the way through. But we get into Marrakesh, and after seeing the great market, we find a hotel very close to the market, because this is where we wanted to be, in this cool, exotic place. And there we found the Hotel Essaouira. And it was really a kind of a disgusting scene, really, but it was something that was kind of cool. I would walk around the streets, and all of a sudden some old man would go, yo, yo, yo. I go, oh my God, it kind of did that, I think, to freak you out. But then you would escape back and get back to the Hotel Essaouira, which had some ambiance. And of course, as I said earlier, I love that rooftop. It was a place of solace and a place of quiet calm, away from the madness and the exoticism of the streets below, and particularly the wonderful marketplace. I knew the end would come soon with my Swiss German guys, because we really didn't have any particular bond other than the fact that we enjoyed each other and found each other traveling along. And of course, at one point they said, au revoir. In fact, au revoir is the right thing, because you have to understand that in Morocco, there's a second culture there, the French. The French came in and actually colonized North Africa, basically Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and formed their own little cities, like European type villas inside of the Moroccan cities. The Moroccan markets were just incredible. They were so complicated. There was so much going on. There was so much color. And the market in Marrakesh is a particularly fantastic one. It made the markets in Tetuan and Casablanca, where we had visited earlier, seem like nothing. They seemed to go on and on forever and ever. And we really enjoyed this whole culture. One of the interesting and kind of fun things about Morocco was that these folks were used to us Western hippies going down there. And they had a way of ragging us and ragging on us and say, hey, hippie, hippie, Mr. Hippie, hippie. Everywhere you turn, hippie, hippie, especially the kids, even the little ones, 10, 12, 8-year-olds, ragging on us, calling us names, hippie, hippie, hippie. But everybody was into it. The food scene in Morocco, and particularly in Marrakesh, is quite luxuriant. You can see on the screen here is a way that the food is assembled. It's beautiful. The dates, the nuts, the indigenous fruits, everything is very, very meticulously cared for. Another dish is of a grain called couscous, made with some kinds of various spices and cheeses and things. And then everybody gets their own big spoon, and they reach in and eat with the spoon right out of this huge dish in the middle. It may not be that clean, but it's the way it was. Morocco was all about mood. It was just an incredible, dominating place. It just grabbed you and took you into it. Behind me is the ocean and the city of Essaouira, also called Mogador in previous times. So this is out on the coast of Morocco, Atlantic Ocean. And when I got there, I traveled there from Essaouira Hotel in Marrakesh, hitchhiking with a young lady named Eileen and a group of people from England, some people from the United States and other places. And we all traveled together. We were a bunch of kids having a good time, socializing really. And when we got to the end of the road, we came to this incredible place. It was filled with magic, mystery, and a lovely, cool environment. We would go out on the docks, and there'd be places where the fishermen were, and people that would take in fish, and I didn't really know what was going on. There's all kinds of activity, but they had these kind of shacks. And I'd go in with maybe a friend I'd be walking with, and guy would take us in. They had this idea of American culture there, by the way. Steve McQueen was on the wall and the calendar, and may have, some U.S. Hollywood stars besides that. So they liked American culture. The streets of Essaouira were simply magical. They wound about, mostly dirt, and you found all these little nooks and crannies. And the people were quite interesting. They had a certain kind of a different feel to them than the rest of Morocco that I was at. And I think it was like they were voodoo people or ocean people or island people instead of being just regular Moroccans. And I would go about and have the greatest of time meeting the people. The spirit was there. At night, we would walk about the town and feel as if we were being led about. And the we, of course, is me and my little cadre of English women and American women and American men and Australian men and men from Germany. And there's this whole little cadre of Europeans mostly and Americans and Australians, etc., that had just a great time hanging out in this wonderful town with this wonderful spiritual approach. Me and my gang of 6 or 7 of us, we were staying in this house. We found a house where they had a big room, and they said, hey, a group of you could stay there. And we all chipped in some money, and we lived communally. We were actually eating together. We'd go out to the market and buy various things. Well, this was giving me some problems, frankly, because I was not a very good eater, and people were like rutabagas, and I didn't know what the hell they were, and other kinds of things. So this was a challenge for me, and frankly, I started getting kind of bitchy, if you will. It's like I would say, I don't want to go along with this and that, because it was just getting on me. It was like so intense, all these people around me all the time. Yeah, I'd go off and wander around sometimes with my sort of girlfriend, which was kind of ridiculous, but it started to get a little bit confined to me, thinking, hey, you know what? Somehow, some way, this cannot keep going on, because I came to be free and to wander around and be a big hippie, but I didn't come to live with these 6 people in a room someplace forever. And besides, it was getting cold. Leaving Essaouira, Morocco on the Atlantic Ocean was a big deal for me. I spent 2 weeks there. It was glorious. It was social, it was cool, it was exotic, it was spiritual. I had my harangue with my girlfriend who had to leave her behind, and it was rough. But somehow, some way, I found another partner, Nancy Thompson, and we said a sad goodbye and left and went on a bus to Marrakesh, and my saga at the end of the world in Essaouira, Morocco had ended. One of the cool things about travel is that sometimes, even though you don't know where you're going and you're in all kinds of brand new places, you have the experience of going back to a place that you've already been to. So that was really incredible, because I knew Marrakesh. I felt like a veteran. I had spent a week there. I knew where to eat. I knew where to drink. I knew where to get stuff. And I knew about the hotel scene and the social scene. So there's this incredible experience of being a veteran traveler who's returned to his roots back to Marrakesh. I'm like an expert on Marrakesh. Yeah, that was kind of cool. It was the Marrakesh Express in reverse. Yeah, we were singing the song, all aboard that train, but it was different when you're leaving instead of coming. So Stephen was leaving, and I'm on my way back to Casablanca for more visas and things that I had to do and drudgeries. But taking the train was kind of cool, and it was the way to go when you're in Morocco. All aboard that train, a Marrakesh Express, backwards. Casablanca is a big city, and I'm a veteran there too. I know my way around. I find my way in a couple of days to some really cool places where they play the Moroccan music and the men are smoking the keef in the long pipes and the drums are playing. Now we're getting into the real road stuff. Yep, Nancy and I literally hitchhiked from Casablanca, going through Rabat, again on the road, all the way to Meknes, and we wind up in Fez. This took us a few days, a couple days actually. We spent one night in Meknes, and it was really cool because we really got to exchange and be involved with the local people, because Moroccans is who picks you up. There's no real tourists driving around in December in Morocco. And it was a lot of fun and interesting, a little scary, and some adventures. But we did follow this road from Casa to Rabat, over to Meknes and Fez by total hitchhiking, which we thought was pretty damn cool. Being big shots on the road, hippie kids traveling and getting where they wanted to go, really for nothing. In fact, people would take us out to dinner. They kept buying us meals. I think a lot of it was having a blonde woman with me, because I wasn't that attractive and I was looking kind of scruffy, and she looked kind of neat and relatively attractive. Even though we were on the road and Fez was along the way on the road, it could well have been a destination. The place Fez was famous to me. Of course, the red fezzes and all these things that people wore. The Fez hat was so famous, but the city itself had a mystique to it. And the mystique was built around what probably is the most fantastic market in the world. It's in a bowl, and people come in and out of it only knowing when they're leaving, when they start going up, and when they go down, they're going into the market. It was a fantastic environment, and it could well have been a place to go and stay for days and days. But we were going to spend a couple days or a few days there while we were there, because it was really a magical, mystical place that had a lore and legend of its own. It had a huge Jewish quarter. It had gold, it had silver, it had shops. It was really quite the Mecca for staying and praying and having a great time, not the Mecca like in Saudi Arabia, but a shopping Mecca. And we really were enjoying ourselves in Fez. In fact, we were trying to get some money. Nancy kept going out to get money in the morning and we couldn't get it. And somehow or another, she had some arrangement to get money there. While in Fez, it was getting colder. I was getting more northerly, and I knew I needed something warm. I didn't really have a real coat with me, because when I left, it was the beginning of October, and I wasn't going to carry a big coat. It's an old raggedy army coat. So I went looking for a jalaba. I was going to be leaving Morocco, but this was a great garment. I thought, oh yeah. So I am actually wearing the one that I purchased in Fez while I was there on this 50-year-ago trip. We get into Taza, and because of leaving late and not getting a ride hitchhiking, it was already nighttime. We got off at a train station, and Taza was a town that I had never heard of at all. I just knew it was on our way towards Algeria, and we took off in that direction. So we get off the train station, and Taza, apparently there's an upper Taza and a lower Taza, and it's in the mountains. And we're walking around trying to find our way to a hotel, someplace to stay, because it's cold in Morocco in December, northern Morocco. So we're walking along, and a car pulls up near to us, and a guy said, hey, you guys need some help here, or something like that. Pidgin French, I think it was. They could tell we were foreigners. And of course, French was the way to speak to a foreigner, because the secondary language of the Arabs in Morocco was French. So we talked a bit, but anyway, it turns out they're police. And this one guy offers us, he says, come on, stay at my house. So we did. And this behind us is a typical Taza home. And myself and Nancy actually spent a couple nights and 3 days in Taza, living with the police and being a part of the culture of Taza. We actually visited a tailor's school, and we thought we were like, oh yeah, we're really in with the big shots here in Taza. Yes, Morocco was a fabulous place, and it was a very difficult goodbye in leaving that exotic place that is like none other that I've ever been to since.